Still morning. Good morning.
I will go ahead and start with questions. We have microphones on both sides. I'm not sure who starts.
I guess I got it. You guys list Jason as the starter, Jalen as the starter this week over Jason. I guess what was the thought process behind that decision?
He's played well these two starts, and at the time of doing a lot of that last week, we're still talking through the process of his red shirt, and as we talk through it, and he's played well enough to continue on as a starter.
So I think you guys used Jason sort of in a non-quarterback role, it seemed, against TCU. I guess what was the thought process behind that as well?
Try to get our best athletes on the field. Get, if not our fastest, one of our fastest players on the field, and try to find ways to do that and be creative. And as you know, our depth has been challenged in some spots, so trying to make the best of that situation work.
Is that sort of like a Torrey Loughlin situation? If he wasn't hurt, that's sort of the role Jason was filling for you all?
Yeah, I guess it's a fair comparison. Yeah, just similar thought there. Yeah, I guess it wasn't brought up like that. It was just kind of more the first statement of getting our fastest guy and see if we can give him the ball and create some ways for him to make something happen. Very, worked average, I guess, but we'll continue to see what happens there in that combination.
And I think you mentioned after the game that Trevor got hurt, and Trevor Cardell got hurt in some way, and then also Devin got an injury as well. I guess any updates on those two?
You probably won't know till later in the week, really, on both. They didn't really partake in today's stuff. The good and the bad in that, of course, is you want them to practice and get reps, and those are two positions now that are really thin with bodies. The one thing is that they have a lot of bank repetitions and game reps that you can, try to find a way to get rolls out of them. But I have not talked to Trent Carter and our trainer or any of that from this morning's meetings and things. So questionable to doubtful probably on both those guys.
And then also, I think you've talked about doing the most for the seniors now this year, while also sort of weighing that with planning for the future. I guess, have you had any conversations, whether it's with a guy like Kwame or Kyron, about how they feel about their careers ending on a more positive note as these last couple of weeks have been, comparatively if you had, just sort of tried to just go for the future totally instead of trying to win right now?
Could you ask that again? I want to make sure I understand what you're asking.
Yeah, I was wondering if in the last couple of weeks after the positive, performances you all have any super seniors or people whose careers are ending here at Kansas with this season, have any of them come up to you and express any sort of appreciation for how things have gone?
I don't know if they've come up and say it. I think when we meet the body language and, questions, concerns, we try to open that dialogue. And the things I've tried to reinforce is from the first time I met with them before the season started as a collective group about that, yes, this is building this program, but it wasn't not at the expense of trying to win football games this year. And I believe in that. I believe we owe it to those young men that have stayed loyal to this program to do everything we can within our abilities and reason to give ourselves the best opportunity to win football games each and every Saturday. And owe that to this university and our fans. And we've stayed true to that. And I think they've seen that. And we've talked about our routines and how we've gone about it. And as we build the internal relationships after a group that, we've talked long and hard about our arrival time and all that. But when you build trust within the locker room, it's being consistent and doing what you say you're going to do is extremely important in my estimation. And we've kind of alluded to those things. And as I say it, much as I'm saying it to all of you, is I get a lot of head nodding. And those are two of the guys that are, every week those are two really neat. I mean, there's a lot of special young men in our locker room and in the senior group, but those two, those slightly different about how they go about it and what they've done are pretty special young men.
You mentioned Devin. You don't really know yet what's going to be going on with him. What would the challenges be if you have to play without your top running back?
That we have 3 left in the program right now. I mean, that would put us at about 7 out for the season. Amari played the whole second half, and he would be the starter. Malik Johnson, who will be in the backup role. And Malik missed over 5 weeks or so with a high ankle. So his reps and some of the times have been limited. And then DeAndre Thomas is a walk-on true freshman that'll be in the, and then everything else is, we use Jason and any other creative ways. It's where it's at. And I could probably do a similar thing at tight end right now, where it's at. If, Trevor's not available, Mason's not available, Will Huggins is out, Spencer Rowe's out. But West Virginia's not going to feel sorry for us, and nor should they. And we've had a lot of guys that have prepared, and you watched the play of Jared Casey, really even make it even more special that it wasn't just a one-play opportunity or one situation. He played extremely well. And we have to find other ways. And we've talked also, guys, we've talked about offensive philosophies way back, at the start of this or at the start of camp. And we've talked about the versatility of our offense and using personnel that's available and to our best of our advantage. And that'll be Andy and the offensive staff's challenge probably the rest of today as we put together a plan.
You mentioned the other night you might have a report waiting for you on your desk about missed tackles. What have you guys
I sure brought it, right?
Yeah. What have you guys learned about those from the TCU game and maybe what went wrong?
Yeah, it was probably season high, our poorest tackling performance. Credit them and some of the schemes to put pressure on certain areas and positions to make plays. And then within those categories, there were several fundamental things. And many times is our feet and keeping our feet alive and moving and taking those things away. But that was not a good tackling night for us.
Your team seems kind of revitalized these past couple of weeks. Just how competitive you've been. How much of a factor has Jalen played in all of that?
Oh, he's been a big part of that. His play, his energy. I would think that's a big part. And of course and I think it goes hand in hand because he's a big part of that was obviously the Texas game, but the start of the Texas game and just like when we talked about the Oklahoma game, it's sometimes it's the confidence of how we play and move the ball in the first quarter. Now we did go 3 and out the first 2 possessions. So for us to even bounce back again, overcoming some of those things, still having a halftime lead, losing a lead, giving up 3 straight, coming back. Those are some other little things that, we couldn't do before. And, again, not a moral victory, but progress. So, but the leadership, composure, I don't see Jalen as a guy who flinches, when things don't go right. He threw an interception. We weren't aligned correctly in the backfield, and part of that causes a linebacker to line up accordingly and drop in an area that really wasn't there. Still shouldn't be thrown, but there's a lot of little things, but yet he keeps bouncing back from, and there's signs of progress.
And, do you know whether Malik will be able to play this week? And I want to ask you about Joey Gilbertson too and how he's looked.
Do not know about Malik. Again, same type of thing. Joey Gilbertson, again, played some at the Texas game and then really jumped in, played the whole game. And there's another guy that highly positive, lots of energy, hasn't played a ton in his career. and has stayed ready. And, you know, Joy's getting ready to graduate as well. And, I've been places before where things haven't gone well, and guys like that just kind of exist through the rest of the season. And then they might get a chance and they're nowhere near ready. And there's a guy who stayed ready because of his positivity and his work ethic, all those things. And he was one of our offensive players of the game from that performance. And I appreciate you asking that.
And Lance, you mentioned that where you at running back. Where are you at tight end? Who would be behind Jared if you needed to go any further, or do you even go further?
Well, Matt Copeland's there, and Ben Miles is still there, and then others, some personnel grouping things probably as well. So I mean that's kind of where I was just trying to go mentally through the available bodies there that traveled last week.
Speaking to that, you talked about the lack of depth, both at running back and tight end. What do you think about the job that Andy's done with the offense to accentuate what you do have the last couple of weeks?
Again, those guys have done, I think, a fine job. I mean, statistically yet, and we've gotten better. I think hopefully you guys would see it the same way through your eyes of, working through the growing pains. We look at things maybe slightly different in progress, I think, but still in the same realm. But, I look at, we were asking about Kwame Lassiter. I mean, think about a couple of those boundary catches that he had on Saturday. Makes a guy miss, moves, jukes around, this, that. Think back to the beginning of the year, he'd catch a ball on the sideline and run out of bounds. And we start talking about those things, about going to fight for extra yards and doing things because yards are going to be important for an offense like us that is developing. And to see him do those things and get extra yards and do those things is a progression. And that's coaching. And that's been emphasized. And our ball security, we had an inadvertent snap on the third play of the game and an intentional grounding off of that. That was our only penalty. And to see us play that type of execution and really where we've been as far as ball security, penalties, and doing those things, and then utilizing different personnel. We've talked about Trevor Wilson, Kwame, Luke Grimm, Lawrence Arnold. We've talked multiple tight ends now. Saw Trevor Cardell come up with some big catches here before he was injured. Mason, I think we've dispersed the ball nicely. I think we've shown that we can be a wide variety offense and ability to execute and do a lot of different things. So, again, I guess I've worked with Andy long enough. I'm not surprised, but again, I commend him and the rest of the guys in the room.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you, I don't know if we'll get to talk to you before signing day, but obviously in the past, there's been times where KU has taken some JUCO guys and it's been kind of more of a desperation situation. Looks like you guys are going to be interested in JUCO guys. Just for the layman people out there, can you explain where the numbers are at with your program and why that's a viable thing for you guys to be able to do right now?
Try to think the best way to answer this. Our evaluation of our roster and recruiting will be holistic. It'll be what is done to bolster our roster, bolster our competition internally in the program. You can see when we take the field. In many games, our youth is relevant as early as warmups. And for us to build this program, there's a lot of ways that needs to be implemented to get us on the right path. And as you can see across college football recruiting as a whole is changed. It's changed, and it will change, and we will change along with that and find the best ways to improve our program, not just for short term, for the long term. And whether that be a high school player, a junior college player, or a player in the portal. And that is a holistic thing as we go into. So I'm not going to get hung up on stigmas. Okay. And I can't worry about that. My responsibility is for us to recruit and develop players that are going to help us represent this university as best as it can on and off the field. And that's what we'll do. And always has been. That's what we've done at the previous places. We'll do it as well.
Lance, you spent most of your head coaching career getting ready for postseason and things like that. But you've had some seasons like this where that's not in the cards. What do you do with this last week? What are the keys to I mean, you want to win the week, obviously, and
Yep.
that, but what are key elements of setting it up for that transition to the off season?
I think it's being, I still go back to the word consistent and the consistency of what we expect. We've talked about it Saturday after the game. We talked about it this morning is our expectations don't change. It doesn't mean all of a sudden you could be late. Okay. Our effort expectations aren't, why would that change? And I think we talked a little bit about last week's game, talked about it again today, is that, you know, there'll be a day when somebody evaluates. We all get evaluated each and every day, each and every week, each and every quarter, whatever that is. Don't let anybody question your work ethic. Don't let anybody question your passion and what you're doing and how you're going about it in your preparation. And again, sometimes we always lose sight that when college athletics all started, it was to help be another extracurricular activity for somebody to prepare for life and help you do those things. And part of those things is, are you going to be a professional about what you're doing? And we always talk, if they all have aspirations, and they do, to play beyond college, you don't know what film somebody's going to watch. You don't know what they're going to say. What's he like? You know, and we can get into the pay for play and all that other stuff. But, you know, there's a lot of sub 500 NFL teams that have to go out and play a lot of weeks in January. And you have to go find a way to be motivated to go do it. Our motivation should be internal, that if it's for our seniors to go play well and help them, it should be for them to want to play their best last game, best last home game. And for all our players, it should be a chance, one more opportunity, the last of the 12 guaranteed opportunities to play. You remember at the beginning of the month, we talked about hopefully we'll be a team that'll be in a short period of time playing in December or January. And in order to do that, you need to play well in November. And we've talked about a chance to end the month, 2-2, and a step in the right direction. Though minimal for many, maybe, but a 500 month would be a nice shot in the arm heading into the off season, heading into recruiting, heading into winter conditioning. All those things will be great, and those are the things we talk about.
Lance, there was, an injury to Sam sort of forced you to sort of have an injury to Sam had sort of forced you to have that conversation with him earlier about whether or not he'd come back for another year. But there are other seniors who, due to the COVID year, have the opportunity to come back, should they want to, should that, fit into your all's future race. Have you already had some of those conversations, or are all those going to be, after the season ends with those seniors?
I want to make sure I understand. Some of those other ones are probably after the season with guys that have extra years versus graduation versus plans. I guess some will go through senior day type activities based on, their decision to do so. And then I guess some of them have made some decisions in their personal lives, so to speak, not necessarily football lives. And, right now I'll kind of leave that to them at this moment. Okay. I hope I'm answering that okay.
We'll go to Zoom. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Lance, I was wanting to know if you guys had any special plans or anything for Thanksgiving Day with the team, or do they break up, or?
Yeah, we're, obviously we have to practice, and we'll have a Thanksgiving meal here. And then, we are trying to let some within the radius, short radius, get home. We're just not real fully set to have hundreds and hundreds set up for a meal and things, but we will have some here. And I know coaches will have some as well. So it's kind of a mixture of both.
Yeah, one of the good plays on special teams, Jalen with a quick kick down at the 1 or 2 yard line. How'd that all come about?
That was Trevor. Trevor did that.
Yeah, sorry.
How did that come about? I told Andy to run it. It was like, but it's something we've worked on it in different ways. You're kind of in no man's land on fourth down. We, like I said, we had practiced it, direct snap to him. Obviously you got a good chance for no return. We got a good roll on it. We haven't done that in a while. So obviously it wasn't something much people would prepare for. So all those, I don't know if I'm answering it well enough again, but it's just a way to, without, putting our punt team out there, giving away a chance for a block or a sky punt or something. It was another way to, be creative enough to make it happen.
Yeah, I know it's early. I don't know how much you've had a chance to watch from West Virginia, but what do you see from them?
Physical football team, big running back. He's impressive. He's going to be a load to take down. Jared Daggy was quarterback at Bowling Green for a couple of years before he transferred. We've played against him ever since his freshman days. They kind of went through some tough times there, and he had to learn a lot through some pressures and that. But he's always had an excellent arm, very talented. He's had a nice career at West Virginia. Impressed with their wide receivers. I've gone through a few of the full run games, big plays defensively. Again, another physical group. Had a chance to compete against Neil Brown's Troy team in 2018. He's an excellent offensive mind, very creative, just an all well-rounded football coach. I have great respect for him. And obviously they're coming here to get bowl eligible, and I know they're going to be ready to play.
Yeah, last one for me. I was just looking at some stats this morning. I saw you guys are second least penalized team, and over the last 3 weeks, you are the least penalized team. What does that say just about your guys' message to the players and then them absorbing it?
Is that in the league? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's in the nation.
Really? I told you I wasn't a big guy in the stats, so I don't look at it. Daniel, I guess I should have had you tell me. Third in the nation? Wow. You want discipline. You want to play the game the right way and not beat yourself and give yourself an opportunity. And though we haven't had a lot of wins this season, and we're talking about a fine line of winning and losing, and we've played pretty much penalty free, and we've seen how close the games have been these last 2 weeks. So we need to continue to do that, and it gives you a chance to be in football games. And I didn't realize that, and I appreciate you sharing that, because it gives me something to tell them again, and the progress that we've made, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud of our assistant coaches, and I guess it goes back to even those practice methods that I think we try to emphasize, just doing things right and not develop the habits that carry over in the games, and we need to continue to do that.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
All right. Thanks. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.